The average Web3 user is in over 2, 3, 4, 500 Discord servers, and they only open five a day. So, how do you want to make this community one of the five they open every single day?
You're, say, looking at newer Web3 ecosystem or really any stage of maturity, community is extremely important. So when you're kind of getting involved with them initially, what are some maybe initial questions that you would hit them with to gauge? Because I'm sure when you get involved with a community, you're trying to gauge, current status of the community, how involved those current community members are, what's being done to keep them engaged and happy and active. So what are some of the metrics or questions that you'll use to get that kind of initial the land?
This is an awesome question. This is the first time anyone asked me this, and this is the smartest question I've ever had. I think the best way to understand what a person needs. So imagine you're a community manager, you're inside a Discord server. These people, there is something I always say. The average Web3 user is in over 2, 3, 4, 500 Discord servers, and they only open five a day. So I am in 500 Discord servers. I only check up on five every single day. So, how do you want to make this community one of the five they open every single day? So, the question that is the most important for a CM, for example, or a community lead, or even a founder to ask is because if you ask them the question directly, they won't know how to answer you. They even won't know what makes a community engaging. Why am I engaged in this and not that? So, the best way to know that is to ask them, what do you think? For example, let's say you're building an NFT project, you ask them, what do you think is missing right now in communities? What do you think founders are failing to notice to make NFT communities interesting again? And they will tell you everything that they think can be done better, and this is what they genuinely think is valuable to them to be interacting within a community. So, if you ask a person, why do you think meme coins are failing right now? They'll tell you there are so many meme coin communities that are getting out. Not many are succeeding because the teams are immediately giving up on their community. So you know that they want a team they can rely on and that won't immediately give up on the community after a tiny pump. So you make sure to prove to them indirectly that you are going to stay here for the long term. And this is one of the multiple aspects that you can work on. But understanding their pain point, it's very similar to sales, but you have to be a little more indirect because if you're very direct, it might confuse them. So just understand what they think is missing because first, you're giving them importance by asking them questions about what they feel, which is very natural to the human being. They want to feel important, they want to feel like they matter because this is what will make them feel like they belong in here, that people care about them. And when they feel like they're cared for, they will stick around, and then that you care about their opinion. And you start noting these down, adding the person's name who said this. This is a very big secret, by the way. Not everybody does that, not everybody knows about it. You open a sheet. After asking this question, you write down that question on the top of the sheet. You write down every single answer with the name of the person who answered. And then this is how you can get closer to your community, that you can get closer to the people individually and collectively.
I love that idea of maintaining a sheet of, because obviously, especially depending on the size of the community, it's going to be really hard to keep track of that. So I really like that idea. And what you said about people's names reminds me of How to Win Friends and Influence People in that book. One of the main takeaways is that every single human being has a favorite word in the English language, and it's their name. So it's their own name. People love to hear their own name, and they love to know that they're seen and heard. So following this timeline, so you've talked about how when you first get started, you'll start to understand the customer and your community member and what they're looking for. After that, what would be your tactical mindset in terms of maybe making some changes within whether it's the leadership of how say the Web3 company is managing the community, or changes from a more technical aspect with the actual Discord or wherever the community is gathering? What are some kind of changes that you might look to make after you start to understand the customer more?
You have to make sure you build a cult, not the creepy way. What I mean by cult is, for example, letting these people feel like they belong somewhere through things that happen regularly in that place. So let's say create names for them. The roles on Discord help a lot. Letting them win something. If I'm gonna talk later about incentivization because I have a lot of mixed feelings about it, but it is necessary sometimes. But building a cult is it. So you want people to come back every day because, for example, one of the cultish behaviors that we have on CT is the GM. we come back every day to say GM. We feel weird if we don't. And we want to engage with all the people that say GM because this is our culture. So building a cult is building a culture within this community. So let's say you have a ritual of going on VC every day to play a specific game. This is a cultish behavior. People will get used to that. People will feel like, oh my God, this is something that really gives me peace. I want to join this VC every day. I want to hear what they're talking about. I want to play that game with them. And so you need to understand, when you build the culture, this culture can only be maintained if you're really listening to the market's needs. Because at the end of the day, we shouldn't forget that we're in Web3. So people have short attention spans. If you're not satisfying your community's wants and needs, another project will. So the best thing to do is to keep things interesting at all times. And how to do that is to have a lot of plans, but do not reveal all your cards at once. So you have and this is something that I always tell people: if you have so many good cards, don't play all of them pre-mint. Because if you play, and we see this scenario happen every single time, and I don't know why people are not learning. They show all their cards pre-mint, and then they don't have anything left for post-mint, and you see how things dump immediately. You see how NFTs are dumping immediately. Gaming TGs, the tokens are dumping immediately because all the cards are revealed pre-mint, and people are not entertained at all times. And this is why Pac-Moon succeeded, by the way, because they had to reveal new things at all phases, even after the airdrop, before the airdrop. After airdrop one, there was number two. After number two, there was number three, and they adapted really quickly to the changes. So, building a culture, keeping things entertaining, and not revealing all your cards at once. And when I say keeping things entertaining, I don't just mean playing games and announcing partnerships, but it's also knowing how to shift from your initial plan to adapt to what the market wants right now. Because if the market right now wants a free mint and you have a very pricey mint, nobody's going to care about you because they're going to go to what's trending right now. So you have to be smart enough to find a way to merge between what's trending right now without giving up on all your values and your initial vision. So adapting to changes is very important here because so many teams are, I don't want to say a bad word, but they're really attached to their initial vision too much. And this is what happens in Web 2. You just follow your plan and it works. And then things change slower than in Web 3. But in Web 3, one day you have Discord and now you have Frank who started the Telegram meta for NFTs. So you need to listen to that as well. And if you don't, Frank will take them from you. So this is just a tiny example.
In the process of building Inleo, I've gone through a lot of adaptation. So I definitely can appreciate that aspect of just being able to evolve with what you hear from your. At the end of the day, it's what you hear from the market, what you hear from your community, and you need to be able. You don't want to be too rigid. You want to be able to call with it.